until the 25th of June, KIPPRA hosted a fantastic conference. And we had, before they started this conference, we had the executive director. KIPPRA is the Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis. They were hosting this conference, their annual conference, and this one was themed Science, Technology and Innovation in Enhancing Delivery of the Big Four Development Agenda. And today we want to look at, so how was the conference? What did it achieve? Remember when we spoke to the executive director, we told her, once this conference is done, because we're talking about innovation, we're talking about promoting innovation in the country, and as a key cog of policy and development of Kenya, you'll come back again and you'll tell us how it went. She's back. Dr. Rose Ngugi, Executive Director of KIPPRA, joins us now on video call. Good morning, Dr.
Good morning.
It's good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
As you've heard today's proverb, it's about elephants and buffaloes. Do you agree that if there was no elephant in the forest, the buffalo would be the what? Biggest? What?
Mightiest.
The mightiest.
Strongest, most powerful.
Don't answer that question before pausing a bit. It's a trick question, but now that I've given you the leakage, you can continue.
Yes, I think both of them are very important, and they play different roles in the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very safe answer, Dr. Well done.
Hey. Okay. So the conference took place, Doc, between the 23rd and 25th of June.
Yes. Yes.
And you brought in various participants, and we had talked about this. You said it's the importance of looking at the role that innovation plays in public policy, in development of a country, science and technology and innovation especially. Now, did it meet your expectations in terms of participation? Did you get the discussions that you wanted to get discussed?
Thank you very much for agreeing actually to host me again after holding the conference. And I'll start by saying that really we met our expectations. One of the things that we wanted to see is the diversity of stakeholders participating in the conference so that they can exchange their views and learn from one another. I can say that we had quite a number of participants from government ministries, specific government agencies, private sector, think tanks, academia, and also we had good entertainment during the conference. So that to us was a key achievement as far as the conference objective was concerned. Secondly, we were there to harvest various policy issues that we can relate to various government institutions that deal with them, whether we are talking about issues in ICT, issues in education, issues in security. We were able to gather quite a lot of information, and we have put together a communique that is just about to be signed off, and then we can share that information on the outcomes and the issues that were prioritized by the conference.
Hmm.
And then thirdly, we were starting a conversation on SPNI and how we can meet the Vision 2030 objective of intensifying SPNI in the development process, such that it can even support the current agenda of the government, that is the Big Four agenda. So we are going to have a series of policy seminars with various groups from the conference because we realized that we didn't have adequate time to go into depth of some of the issues. So we agreed at the request of the participants that we shall have policy seminars, for example, with the micro and small enterprises, and even with other innovators, such that we can bring out very clearly those issues that were not brought out during the conference. So I would say in a nutshell that the conference actually achieved its objective, and we have quite a number of areas that probably we thought we knew, but they were brought out very clearly by the stakeholders.
Okay. And so now moving forward, I mean, obviously, just as you've said, there were issues that clearly needed to be addressed. The conference brought together stakeholders that then addressed these issues, and then some of them were brought to the fore. Moving forward, how then are you going to be able to make sure that some of these things either don't crop up again, or that you're then able to manage them going into the future?
Yeah, as I've indicated, yes, it's very true that a policy process, in a policy process, you can't say that you can achieve everything by tomorrow. It's a process that you go through. But we have so many things that were brought out. I'll give an example of the micro and small enterprises. One of the things that was brought out by the group that was on micro and small enterprises is that there are several constraints that micro and small enterprises face in terms of technology constraints, in terms of even financial, and in terms of also how they can up their game as far as innovation is concerned, and how to upskill and also reskill themselves such that they are able to adapt very easily when there are changes. Like today we have the COVID-19, and there are several things that have happened. The ability that you can do marketing in a different form, the fact that there are new products that are coming into the market and that you need actually to adjust to, it came out as a key element that we need actually to have a deeper conversation with the micro and small enterprises, because it's very true that the aspect of technology uptake and the level of innovation by the micro and small enterprises is quite low. And as I indicated last time, we have the various government institutions like the Kenya Industrial Estate that was set up not only to give small funds to the micro and small enterprises, but also to help them in terms of deepening their technology, in terms of accessing machinery that probably one micro enterprise cannot actually have. And so as we look forward in the government putting up the industrial parks that would conglomerate various industries, it will be possible for us now to say it's important to enhance the link between the large enterprises that we may put in those industrial parks with the micro enterprises, so that we do away with the link that has been there between micro enterprises just interacting with the micro enterprises, but then we have a situation where they can build up to a level that they can start standardizing their products and also be able to take up new innovations and also new technology that will be coming from such a large firms. The other element that came up is to do with it's very easy at the moment that we are having this conversation on a Zoom. We had a parallel program during that conference where we invited the youth, the youth from university and other institutions, and they were to participate in it not just in their forums, but also in the 3 days. Mm-hmm. But what you realize is that since the youth, most of them are not employed, and most of them probably don't have a space where they can actually access the internet, and so they have to rely on the internet bundles so that they have access to the Zoom or the platform that is being used. What we realize is that internet access can be constraining because of cost issues, and some youth actually dropped out, not because they had no interest in the conference, but because they could not maintain the cost. So internet cost became one of the elements that was brought out, and it's good actually to focus on it and see how we can make it more affordable, such that in this new era, even where we want to reduce the interaction and also to up our game even in the e-commerce, then it becomes very easy for all of us actually to participate. I know, for example, I'm in government, and we are actually supporting our staff. However little we are doing with internet bundles, because we expect that as they work from home, they are able to network with the office. They are also able to attend meetings. And from the retro that we got even from the conference, it's very clear that internet costs need to be addressed so that we can all have access and be able to network. Another element I also want to bring up, I know it was brought up last time, is on funding. We looked at the concept of funding R&D as key in pushing forward the SCNI in the country. And during the last forum, I indicated that we are actually at about 0.6% of GDP. From the SCNI Act, the expectation is that it should go to 2%. But from also the presentations, it was also brought out that we may talk about funding, but let's also look at whether with the funding that is provided at the moment, are we also doing research with it that can take us to the frontier of knowledge, where we are able to address the critical development issues that our country is facing. And we agreed that it is important actually to do such an analysis such that we can identify very clearly where the gap is. Is it in the resources, or is it in terms of the research and the quality that is being undertaken, such that we can move forward with a clear picture of how you can do interventions in such an area. In addition, we realized that most of the agencies, institutions that participated in the conference, they actually had one or two things that they were doing in terms of innovation, in terms of technology that they are adopting. Talk about KRA was there to showcase what they are doing with the ITAX and everything. NHIF was also there to showcase on how they are trying to modify their system in a manner that you can actually access them online. So there was quite a lot of things that were brought in, even from universities, trying to say the kind of innovations that they have. The key question that was coming out is who actually has all this information? Where is the data that can be used for analysis and therefore provide a clear policy advice? So it was very clear, therefore, from the conference that we need to see how we can pull together data that is SCNI related, whether we are talking about big data, whether we are talking about administrative data, whether we are talking about research data. We need to have sort of a portal where we can all have access to it and be able to provide everybody with information of what exactly is happening. Universities are doing a lot of innovation with their students, but it goes up to there. There is nothing moving on from there to tell us that this is a good idea that can actually even be commercialized.
That is it, Daktari. You've actually gotten to the heart of the matter. In fact, yes. I was rather hoping that you'd get there so that I can ask you what I want to ask you, because yes, you're talking about a vehicle through which you can move to the next stage or take this idea to its logical conclusion. Let me start with SMEs. SMEs, when you hear of SMEs, nowadays we think of banks. And yet, as you correctly put it, we had an institution like the Kenya KIE.
Industrial estates.
Kenya Industrial Estates. Okay? Now, Kenya Industrial Estates, I don't know why we seem to we let it die. Because if it exists, it's limping at best. Okay? But it had the wherewithal to grow beyond whatever it had. And because it specialized in focusing on what we now refer to as SMEs, it was able to do what it could. And if you went beyond their capacity, there was ICDC, who now would be able to take you to a much larger scale of enterprise and to grow you. And we have many examples in this country of institutions, of businesses, industries that have grown that way. But if you come to research, would you say that we've actually developed a research culture that enables us to go beyond just innovation, but to go to the point where we need to actually put these things into practice? And if we have, what vehicle are we using to do this? Or what vehicles or what institutions are we attaching all these ideas to so that we actually see the end product of these ideas?
Yeah, I would say that the government has set up what we call the National Commission for Science, Technology and Innovation, NACOSI. And NACOSI is a government institution that is supposed to oversee all activities on STNI. It's supposed to have membership of all institutions that are undertaking research. And through that channel, it's therefore supposed to really see from a bad eye view whatever is happening as far as the research in the country is concerned. But you see, when you do research, it doesn't go just there. If you want implementation, if you want to see it moving or making a difference, then it has to find its way to the policy desk. It has to find itself in the policy document. When we are putting together, say, for example, the development policy, SMEs development policy, all these issues that we have evidenced through research must find their way there. And in one way or another, when, for example, KIPPRA is invited to support the government in putting together such documents, this is the time that we actually gather all that is available as far as the research evidence is concerned, so that it can inform adequately the policy process. So I would say that in as much as one would want to look at the research that is being taken at the university level, it is important actually to bring back that intellectual exchange that used to be there between policymakers and universities in such a manner that the research that is also done there is also finds its way to the policies that the government is putting together.
But how are we going to do this, Dr. How will we get this done? Because we, as you correctly put it, it needs to be done, but how will we get it done?
Yeah, one of the institutions that is supposed to provide a platform for exchange of views between various stakeholders is actually KIPPRA. And what we have done so far is that we have tried to create one forum, for example, for think tanks, such that we can have a place to dialogue and see what is it that they are evidencing. Secondly, we have come up with a program that we call KIPPRA Mentorship Program for Universities. And at that platform, our key aim is actually to try to restart or to re-engineer the intellectual exchange that used to happen between policymakers and the university. It is still at the very initial stages, and we are hoping that we can actually manage to push this through so that all ideas that are evidence can actually get to the policy discussion. Yeah.
Is implementation a challenge when you look at some of the, everything that we've spoken about, it looks like at the very crux of the matter is the implementation of these policies that then is what will help you to realize all of these. Is it a challenge? Because along the lines of implementation, in as much as you may have the resources on the human side, funding and things like that, does it pose a challenge presently? And then how would you overcome it if it does?
Yeah, policy implementation, it's a challenge. It has its own challenges. First of all, is that we plan, we have big ideas, we have things that we can do with policies, but sometimes funding is not there. So you'll notice that every year when the CS National Treasury is putting together the budget, he tries to prioritize areas that he feels are crucial. And by doing so, it means that there are things that you may not move forward with. We also look for we look for development partners to support the financing of some of those activities, yeah? It's not always that you'll get 100% financing. So in a nutshell, yes, financing is an element. But secondly is how do we perpetuate the implementation of the same ideas? For example, we have the political cycles, yeah. And sometimes when you look at a political cycle, you'll notice that there will always be a priority of every government that comes in, which may actually not be the same as what was a priority before. And with and actually to deal with this element, the Vision 2030, the long-term development blueprint was put together such that it's able to align every government that comes in with the long-term agenda as far as the development process of the economy is concerned. So we may talk about funding, but also the goodwill and also the political agenda and the priorities also play a major role in implementation of various projects and policies.
Well, a lot of work that you're saying needs to be done out of this conference, many deliberations, many ideas that are brought forth. So the next steps for you, like you said, the next thing you're going to have is post-conference policy seminars. What else are you going to do to take these lessons and then see to it that you then advise the government on the kind of policy to formulate?
Yeah, in addition to the policy seminars where we shall deal with deepening the discussion, we also are planning to, of course, we had quite a lot of research papers that were being discussed. So we are going to publish them so that people can see all the findings that were coming up. In addition, we have a flagship report that we prepare every year, which is mandated by our Act. We call it Kenya Economic Report. We are going to ensure that we have a chapter that summarizes that because this is a document that discussed at the cabinet and also parliamentary level, which means that you can get to those levels. But in addition to that, I've talked about the communique, which we shall share with all relevant government institutions so that they can see the key policy issues that are coming up. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ngugi. Dr. Rose Ngugi is the Executive Director of KIPPRA, the Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis, giving us the lowdown of what they discussed during the past conference and what we expect to see when in terms of science, technology, and innovation when it comes to policy at government level. Thank you very much for joining us, and we invite you again. This time, by the way, hopefully, you'll come and join us in the studio.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Asante sana.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.